This video is going to look at forming equations. So remember, an equation can be used to model a situation. So sometimes you're going to be given a word problem that you can then create an equation that you can then solve. So in our first example, we've got Jamie thinks of a number. He subtracts 2, then quadruples his answer. His final answer is -16. What number did he start with? So we need to give a letter for Jamie's number, and we can use the letter N for number, or we can just use X. So we'll use N for number. So he subtracts 2, so we've now got N minus 2, and quadruples his answer. So quadruple means multiplies by 4. But he subtracted that 2 first, so we're going to put that into a bracket, and we're going to put that quadrupling, the 4, in front. And then it says his final answer is -16, so we're going to equate that to -16. So you can see we've now formed our equation. So what number did he start with? We have to solve this equation. So we've got 4 multiplied by n minus 2 equals -16. And we can divide both sides by that multiplied by 4, because we can divide 16 nicely by 4. And that gives us n take away 2 equals -4. Now we need to do the inverse process of take away 2. So we're going to add 2 to both sides. And that's going to give us n equals -2. And I can check that that works, because if I have -2 and I subtract 2, I get -4. And then if I multiply that by 4, I'm going to get -16, which is the correct final answer. So in the second example, I've got the perimeter of an equilateral triangle is the same as a rectangle. The base of the triangle and the length of the rectangle are the same. The breadth of the rectangle is 8 centimeters less. Find the length of all the edges on each shape. So the first thing I want to do is I want to draw myself some sketches. So I'm going to draw myself an equilateral triangle, and I know that all the sides are the same. And I'm going to draw myself a rectangle, and I know that the opposite sides are the same. Now, it says here that the perimeters of an equilateral triangle is the same as a rectangle. So we're going to put our equal sign, and now we need to work out what we're going to put on each side of the equal sign. So the base of the triangle and the length of the rectangle are the same. So that means that all the sides on my equilateral triangle, I'm going to call them x, and it's saying that the length of the rectangle, so this length here is x, and that means that the top of my rectangle is also x. And it says the breadth of the rectangle is 8 centimeters less. So that means that these sides are both going to be x minus 8. Now, perimeter is the distance all the way around the outside of an object. So imagine that I have a little person who's going to go for a walk, and around the equilateral triangle they are going to be walking 3x. So I can put 3x on the left-hand side of my equation. Now, I need to work out what the perimeter going around my rectangle is for the other side of my equation. So I'm walking along x, and now I've got 2x minus 8. Now I've got 3x minus 8, and now I've got 4x minus 16. So I'm going to put my 4x minus 16 on the other side. Now you can see I've ended up with a bigger number of x's on the right hand side, and actually it's going to be easier to solve if I rewrite my equation with the bigger number of x's on the left hand side. So I'm going to write 4x minus 16 equals 3x. So I'm going to have to add the 16 to both sides. So I'm going to add 16 to both sides. so that I've got my x term on its own. So I'm going to have 4x equals 3x plus 16. And now I need to take away the 3x from the right-hand side. And that means that I have x equals 16. Now, remember, you need to answer the question, and it asks you to find the length of all the edges on each shape. So you can either write down the length of this is 16, or you can just redraw your sketches and write the lengths on instead of our letters. So I know that all the sides on my equilateral triangle are 16 centimeters. And on my rectangle, I know that the lengths are 16 centimeters. And the breadth was 16, take away 8, so the breadth was 8 centimeters. And therefore I found the lengths of all the edges on each shape.